Hey, how's it going? It's Dr. Mealy here, Dr. Phil Mealy. I'm about to show you the anatomy of a right-wing hack attack. This is Fox Business, um, and they're about to talk about Donald Trump. So let's give you the background here from David Asman. So let's watch that.
Back to politics and Donald Trump on Maria's show this morning, answering charges from a Wall Street Journal editorial that says he is the most protectionist presidential candidate since Herbert Hoover. Here's Don.
So, Wall Street Journal is usually pretty reliable for business in general, fairly conservative. However, they've got multiple issues with basically neocon, Project for New American Century, what I consider to be rhino hackery. And you're about to witness what happens when you disagree or kind of step out of line with their plan to, and it's not just their plan, it's the whole PNAC pseudo Republican, pseudo-conservative economy. So this is what happens. So basically, Wall Street Journal, essentially owned and run by a bunch of neocons who really kind of love bailouts. They love free government money. They basically like taking the American taxpayers' dollars for nothing. So you're going to watch what happens when you step out of line with these people.
Right. Well, they're wrong. I'm not a protectionist. I'm a free trader, but we need smart people to make the deals.
So right there, Donald Trump says in his own words, we need smart people to make the deals, and I agree with that. That, in my opinion, is not the only thing that's responsible. A lot of this social engineering, political correctness crap is partially responsible for the downfall of this country. But the decimation of the middle class in this country is right here, right before you, right now. You're about to witness this the PNAC hackery, Second Amendment squish, admitted by Bill Kristol, crap that they do to people who basically step out of line with what they believe they are entitled to.
Chris Wallace, host of Fox News Sunday, joining me now with his take on the Donald's view. So, Chris, is he a protectionist or not?
Well, he certainly is against a number of these trade deals. He says he's for free trade, but he hasn't met a trade deal in a long time that he likes.
So, right there, that's it. You've witnessed it. If you've picked up on it or not, what Chris Wallace has just done, he's perpetrated a lie of omission. He hasn't met a free trade deal he's like talking about Donald Trump in a while. And what he fails to tell you is why Donald Trump hasn't met a trade deal that he's liked in a long time, which he told Maria Bartiromo. He disagrees with the free trade, with the deals that we've had, not the free trade, but the trade deals that we've signed, because we are getting hammered every single time we sign a trade agreement. We get hammered. Jobs leave the country, middle class jobs are lost, people go on to welfare rolls, people go on to unemployment for 3 years at a time. They're decimating the middle class with our trade policies. And anybody that tells you any different is, either not paying attention or just superficially listening or watching whatever's going on. Or they're hooked into this full-on brainwashing where, like I said, in my opinion, Chris Wallace has committed a lie of omission. He said he hasn't met a deal he likes in a long time. Let's continue on with this.
He would undo NAFTA. He would defeat the TPPs.
NAFTA, one of the biggest things, one of the biggest job drains ever in the history, signed by Bill Clinton in, granted a Republican Congress, put that through, but Clinton signed it. So, Clinton also repealed the Glass-Steagall Act, which led to the mortgage crisis and the credit default swap fraud that the banks perpetrated on the country. So let's keep watching. I think you should overturn NAFTA, or at least Donald Trump's plan to at least try to get better deals for the American people is definitely within our interest, and it's what makes him so popular and a popularist.
So he may be for free trade, but he doesn't like trade deals.
You know, here's the irony.
There it is again. That's 2 times. Reinforce it. You got to reinforce the lie of omission twice, over and over and over. Right? The Nazi Party. The more times you tell a huge lie, the more believable it becomes. Not that these people are Nazis, but they're using Nazi tactics, the way they go about it. Lie of omission.
With Donald Trump, he is a globalist by trade. I mean, you look at his operations, he has practically as many
A globalist by trade, you know, to be a globalist really is not necessarily something I agree with, because then you have to get rid of all the borders and all that stuff, and with the borders go the language and the culture. So, if you're going to have borders, you got to have borders. You got to reinforce them, and everybody's got to be fair. But a globalist by trade may be what we need so that he can understand the system that is really taking our middle class to task. Taking our middle class to task.
operations abroad as he does here. He knows the importance of free trade as a businessman, and yet
everybody knows that. Almost anybody that's read anything about business knows the importance of free trade. But it has to be fair, free, fair trade.
Surprised it doesn't translate better into his policy prescriptions.
Well, he says, you're exactly right, David, that he likes the idea of free trade. And I had an interview with him recently where he talked about buying thousands of televisions, Samsung televisions from Asia, because he couldn't get any TVs made in this country. And so he fully understands that.
It's unions trying to hold on to some grasp or some semblance of the middle class. And I've been railroaded by unions in my past as a laborer, and I'm not a big fan of unions. I am a right-to-work person. But this, the way we perpetrate this free trade fraud and the way it's been perpetrated on us by our elected officials is 75% responsible for what's happened to the middle class in this country, in my opinion. And I'm no economist.
I think politically speaking, and particularly...
And I qualify that I'm no economist just so that I can try to get people to understand that this isn't that difficult to understand.
With the group of, the segment of voters that he's appealing to, the idea of raising up tariffs, or at least not cut.
That's right. He said it first, and then he realized, whoops, I just perpetrated another lie, which Donald Trump has never said raise up tariffs, ever. So then he said, at least not cutting
them at this point.
Cutting them at this point, which really under the trade act that we have, the TPP, which is really in a sense also a treaty and involves multiple layers of information gathering and different things about internet rights and inhibitions in free speech and CISPA-like qualities to it, and perpetrates them throughout the world onto the internet. So, like I said, it's really a treaty.
Seeming to be protecting the American worker is politically very advantageous for them.
Yeah, it's advantageous because American workers are hungry, right? And this is the problem. Like I said, I'm a free trade guy. I don't like unions, right? Unions don't like me either. They never have. Even when I was in the union, they told me to work slower. So, people need jobs though, and then if you keep sending them out of the country, people are going to keep complaining. And you can only complain for so long until you have to eat dinner.
People, including the late editor of the Wall Street Journal, Bob Bartlett, used to say that the Depression, the Great Depression, was caused by trade barriers because of the Smoot-Hawley.
The Great Depression was caused by the same fraud that caused them to write Glass-Steagall, where you had to separate commercial banks and investment banks. That's what caused the Great Depression, not trade deficits.
Vision and a law protection.
And this is a business channel, if you can believe that.
Law that was put in place by Republicans. The only person that was a real free trader the other night was Rand Paul, who had to remind everybody that that new Asian treaty does not include.
So that's perfect, right? This is exactly why I recognize this stuff, because I saw them do it, them meaning Fox in particular, do it to Ron Paul over and over again. Every time he said, I'm not an isolationist, I'm not an isolationist, they said, yes you are, yes you are. And he's not. Rand Paul is not an isolationist either. The same thing that New American Century hack Marco Rubio accused him of.
China after they suggested that it did. Is it likely, if a Republican is elected who is not Rand Paul, that we will get higher tariffs and maybe some trade wars?
I tend to doubt it. I think it depends who it is, but I think
And
certainly.
that's because Hillary Clinton is also a globalist insider hack. Thanks again. You guys take care of our wounded warriors. Take care of all of our veterans, and happy belated Veterans Day out there to anybody who served. Have a good one. Later.